And welcome to Virtual Lunch in the Exhibit Marketers Cafe. I am Marlis Arnold, and welcome back. We're still kind of getting in the groove of doing this every other week now this year. Last year we were doing every week, so it's good to be back. I'm greeting you from the frozen North Pole here in Kansas City. I think it's crazy. It's like I don't think we're going to see 20 degrees until sometime next week. It's been really, really cold, and we got snow on the ground, and it's been cloudy, and my husband Alan says it's like living in a snow globe, because like even at night it's just like this weird eerie white outside. So anyway, so hopefully it's warmer where you are. So go ahead and share in the comments. Tell us where you're joining us from and introduce yourself. And so I want to share just a few links and tidbits today. First up is an article by Sam Horn, which if you're not familiar with her, she's one of my favorite business authors. She's done, one of my favorites is Pop. She's done Tung Fu. I can't remember what all her other titles are, but she's really good about, your language and how you talk and how you present yourself. And so she did an article on LinkedIn. Let me take this down. She did an article, and Alan is sharing as himself today, I see. Sometimes he shares as me, and sometimes he's himself. So anyway, so this is about how we are all artists. And I really enjoyed how she talked about how, we need to all just take time to really take in what's going on around us and, just kind of be with ourselves and looking at the world differently. And so it was just kind of an interesting, very thought-provoking article. So I liked that one. And then the next one kind of ties in talking about how we are all artists and seeing things with different eyes. There's an article, it's a rather long article about a gentleman he lives on a tiny island off the coast of China, but they have had, over the years, they've been bombed many, many times, like thousands of times. They have all these bombs that are buried. And so he is trained as a blacksmith. So he takes these old bombs and turns them into kitchen knives. And it's really fascinating. The article really profiles, what he does and how he does it. And it's just, talking about seeing things with new eyes and, the old saying of making lemons out of lemonade. It really is interesting to see what he's able to do with things. And he says, there's so far been pretty much an endless supply of inventory. So, but his knives are in hot demand. I mean, chefs love them. And so anyway, I thought that was cool. All right, so let's see. So we've got Chris here from Boston. We've got Matt from Champion Logistics, freezing in Chicago. Yeah, I bet you guys are probably as colder than we are up there. Ramon is here from San Diego. Yeah, I bet they're not in the teens in San Diego. And Wendy is here from Connecticut. She's with Genesis, and it is New England and it is winter. Yes, I know. We've kind of all forgotten. I think we kind of got a pass last year. It didn't seem like it ever got too bad, but yeah, this year I think we're in for like 2 weeks straight of below freezing, and there's no end in sight here in Kansas City. But anyway, and Amanda is here from Pennsylvania, and she says it's typical New England there. I think we're all cold, unless you're in Florida, Texas, or California. You're probably cold right now. But anyway, in Las Vegas this weekend, they're doing something really cool. The local chapter of EDPA and some of the industry companies there in Vegas, because let's face it, they've probably been hit about as hard as any city in the country with the shutdown of trade shows and conventions. So they put together a pop-up food drive. And so if you're so far, we haven't had anybody check in for Vegas, but if you're listening and you're from Vegas, or if you have a friend in Vegas, you might want to let them know that they can go on this. If they, this is the TSNN article, but in there's a link that you can go to sign up, either if you need help and you would like a box of food, or if you want to help with it, either donating or helping them fill the boxes or whatever. So just reach out to the EDPA volunteers there in Vegas, and they'll hook you up with that. Our friend Marco, I don't know if Marco is here today, from Italy. He's one of our cafe regulars. But Marco wrote an article on LinkedIn that was really good about what's the real value of trade shows in the post-pandemic world. And I liked how he worded it. I mean, Marco just has a great way of looking at things. And he talked about, what are going to be the motivations going forward, and how to take more of an integrated approach, because, we're all having to look at this, that, trade shows are not going to be like they were before. Things are going to be different. And so we need to have a bit of a refocus and a reframing. And so that's a really good article that he shared. Patty is here from Philadelphia. So we have quite a few East Coast New Englanders here today. So everybody's staying indoors and joining virtual lunch today. Another article, and you may have seen this. This is an encouraging thing, that the Senate has actually now approved support for the hospitality industry, travel and tourism, led by not surprisingly at all, a senator from Nevada, from the Las Vegas area. So she led this along with a senator from North Dakota, of all places. It was kind of surprising. I would have assumed it would have been somebody from, Florida or Illinois or one of the other convention cities. But anyway, so they're pushing for that, for some more relief for the hospitality industry. So we'll have to see how that comes together. Arlene, so good to have you here. Arlene from TSNN is here. So welcome. All right, the next tool that I want to share is GES has put together an event tracker, and this is really, really handy. You might want to actually bookmark this one. It is it's a graph that shows a map that shows the whole world, and there's dots, and it uses the traffic signal system, so it's real easy to figure out. So right now, the cities that aren't doing anything, that aren't allowed to hold conventions, are all in red. The ones that are starting to ramp up are in yellow, and the ones that are actually holding things and doing things are in green. So as you can imagine, most of the U.S. is red dots, but the southern areas, Texas and Florida, have some green dots. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, you may want to bookmark, because as you go back, it'll be encouraging to see more green lights pop up. So that is a helpful tool. And on the subject of shows getting started again, we've got a couple of links to share. Surf Expo actually held in Orlando last month. And so there's a couple articles. One's an article, so I'll put that up first. Another article from TSNN that talks a little bit about the expo and what happened and how it went. And then there's also a YouTube video that I'm going to share, or that Alan is going to share in just a minute, that is done by, I think it was done by Visit Orlando. And so it shows a little bit more about how they did the expo, what it looked like. And so you can kind of get a feel, kind of a sneak peek possibly at what expos are going to look like as we start reopening again. So both of those are good things to check out. And by the way, Alan is posting all of these in Facebook. If you're joining us from YouTube, all of these links are already in the description. So you can just click that show more and you'll see all the links there. So you can go check those out later. All right, so I'm just kind of checking here to see a couple of other announcements. Just a reminder that virtual lunch, as I said earlier, is now just the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. We are going to add an extra one in March. We're going to do a networking event. So for those of you who were with us for our holiday event that we did in December, was on AirMeet. And so we're going to be doing it that way again. And so I'll be giving you more details on that. But it's kind of cool because it's actual tables. Like you can take a seat at the table and you can actually have a video conference, a video chat with other people in the group. So I thought that'd be a fun way for us to kind of get acquainted with each other. And I mean, a lot of us know each other anyway, but to maybe meet some new people or to catch up with some people that you haven't seen in a while. I'm also doing, on the subject of testing tech tools, I'm also doing a test later this month. So if you're interested, if you would like to know more and want me to send you an invitation for that, I'm going to test a couple. AirMeet will be one of them, but I'll also test another tool called Eventi. And so what better way to test than to have some friends help you out and give you their feedback? So anyway, so if you're interested in that, you could just contact me either on LinkedIn or shoot me an email or whatever, and just let me know you're interested. And also, last time I mentioned about the workshop that I put together called The Road Ahead, Trade Show Marketing in 2021 and Beyond. So that is available exclusively in the Exhibit Marketers Cafe community. So if you are interested in that, you just need to let me know. We're taking kind of the approach like Clubhouse right now, where it's invite only, but we're not as restrictive. So all you need to do is just let me know you'd like an invite and I will send you one, or actually the system will send you one, which, by the way, if you've requested an invite and you haven't gotten one, please get back in touch with me, because I've sent them out, but some of the people I'm noticing are not showing up in the community. So I think maybe those invitations might be going into your spam folder or something. So just follow up with me. If you request an invite and you don't get one within the first day or two, just follow back up with me and request again, and I'll send it again. So the joy of technology, right? Anyway. So I think that is everything. So I am going to bring on our guest here in just a second. Let's take that down. So Ramon Ray he's the perfect person to talk about digital charisma, which you'll find out here in just a minute as you see him talk and just see his approach. But just to give you a little bit of background on Ramon, and for those of you who were here last month, his article on digital charisma was one of the ones that I shared in the announcements section. So you may have already had a chance to go read that, but now we're going to talk in more depth. But anyway, Ramon was born in the Midwest and then moved to Brooklyn as a teenager. So he served at the UN, which I think is fascinating, for over 10 years before becoming a full-time entrepreneur. He started 4 companies and sold 2 of them. He's authored 4 books, including The Celebrity CEO. And he is the founder of smarthustle.com and the Smart Hustle podcast, which Alan is a big fan of the Smart Hustle podcast. So anyway, Ramon, welcome to Virtual Lunch. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Marlis. I appreciate it so much. And it's great to be here with you, your team. And thanks for having me. Thanks for seeing value to share with your community. It's amazing. I've been watching the comments, and Alan and Arlene and Amanda and so many, Pat, are here and engaging. So thank you all for spending time with me and Marlis today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. And Amanda says she loves the idea of digital charisma. So yeah, I think, and it's kind of back to where I was talking about initially, that first article that I shared about the love of words and the way you present things. Ramon, you're so good at that digital charisma. It's like, what a great concept and what a great way of framing that. So just talk to us a little bit about what is digital charisma? Why is it so important?
Sure. Let's assume, Marlis, and start here that somebody has charisma offline. Let's just start there, because if you don't have charisma, and what is charisma? For me, it's peppy, you're happy, you're hey, how are you? You have a smile to your face. That's the summary of it. And I think let's assume that somebody's that way in the offline world. But Marlis, as you know, and everybody listening, over the past year, especially, all of us pretty much have had to do what we do just behind a video camera. So I think that was the question which came up of, man, how do we translate this into the online world? And that's where I express, I'm happy to go over those points if you want, but that's where I express some of those key points of how do we do that online? And some of the key things were, I think, our voice, right? That's one thing. Right. Our smile, looking at the camera. So that's really this aspect, because I can't shake your hand, can't give you a hug, I can't give you a high five, I can't say, hey, everybody, stand up, put your hands together as the music. No, it's just Me and the camera. So how do we do that in this quote unquote virtual world? That's what we're trying to convey.
Right. Well, and like you said, a lot of it is your voice, because I can give two examples of webinars that I have sat on, or started to sit on. I should say one I sat through, the other one I did not. But the one, she talked so fast and she mumbled. And both of these, by the way, were software instruction. So it was like the kind of thing where you really needed to pay attention and focus and really get what they were talking about. The first one, when she was mumbling so bad and people kept typing in the comments, "Can you please slow down?" And she would acknowledge that and she'd do okay for a few sentences and then she'd be back to blah, 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 blah. And it was really hard. Well, I hung with that one.
What did she say again? She said, blah, blah, blah. No. Go ahead.
But yeah, it's like, check out that transcript and see if you can figure it out, But then the second one was so bad, I turned him off after about 5 minutes because he was like this and he was monotone and you couldn't hear it. And it was like, oh my goodness, that's just horrible. And I think, okay, if you're going to present your software, your product, and you're wanting to get people to sign up for it, put your best person on camera, really?
Yeah, that's right. And it takes, in fairness, Marlis, it takes sometimes training. But again, people who may have otherwise been okay or done well in the offline world, online, as you and I are doing this now, you have to step it up. And I don't know what to tell people who can't. Maybe I would say the solution, probably have a good moderator. Let's say I'm that person that's not so great. Marlis then can bring it out of me by stopping me, asking me questions when she senses the energy down. Ramon, that was great. Tell us again how the W482965874A widget worked again. So
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's part of it, is that people I think that when that little red light, or in my case, it's a green light on my computer, comes on, it's like a lot of people just kind of, and I found, and maybe you found too, that even sometimes professional speakers that are great on stage, they just can't bring it on camera. And so it really is something that takes practice and getting used to that. Patty says being an expert doesn't always make good face for the product or promotion. Yeah, that's true.
True, Patty, indeed. And you're right about that. And I think part of that, Marlis, is that, it's part of that audience engagement is one, I think. And I think the overall awareness of it is that if you're aware that I'm in a virtual environment, so there's the chat, there's the camera here, there's the host, right? Being careful of that too. It's Marlis' show. It's not Ramon's show. So those few elements, I think, will make part of that of charisma. I'm asking questions, and you've done it well. You called out people. You have the lower thirds because you're a baller. But those who are learning, that's all part of this package. The smile we do, face interactions, not while Marlis is talking. I'm like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot of that, too.
I mean, do you realize that people are staring at me, too, even though Marlis is talking? Hello.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing to me how many people just don't even stop to think that they're really on camera. They're just kind of like, digging around at things or whatever. And it's like, oh, come on, focus, And I have to say, it's hard for me because, I want to look at your face on the screen, not continue to look at the camera. So sometimes it is a little bit challenging, and the chat and everything else. But, part of it is I've been teaching webinars for 12, 13 years. So this isn't a total shock for me, but a lot of people, it's a whole new thing. So let's talk about some of the points from your article that you went over. We've talked a little bit already about eye contact or camera eye contact, but kind of go into that a little bit more in the whole, acknowledging the audience.
Absolutely. And I think the main thing is, and probably those who are experts know this, but just to help those maybe listening to this afterwards, it's knee-jerk reaction. Let's say Marlis is on the screen. If I'm going like this, yes, that's great. Awesome. Oh, yeah. But see how weird this looks? This looks terrible to you, all right? My forehead's in the way and all this. Even though I'm not looking at you, as Marlis already knows, but those learning, this is what you want to do. So I think that's one big thing. Look at that lens. Make it your friend. If you have to put Marlis's picture up there, but that's who you want to look, because to the audience, it makes it look like I'm looking at them. So I think that's one thing. I think, two, definitely the chat. I think it's a powerful way to bring in the audience. I'm not going to do it here because it's a little different system, but I can see the chat, right? Even when I came in, I acknowledged some of the people. Patty, thank you. And Alan, thank you. I acknowledged as they came on. So that's important for a longer session. If I was doing this for 60 minutes, bring in the audience, right? You'd say, hey, If you agree that burnt pancakes is the best breakfast in the world, put yes. I don't see anybody putting yes, Marlos. I guess not.
I don't see anybody either.
But things like that. So I think that's two. And I think, as we said before, I think that voice is important. Pause. Go fast. Go slow. Punctuate the voice. And again, Marlos and I have done this for years, but for those learning, maybe you're today not going to be exactly as we're doing, but I bet you'll be a bit better tomorrow translating your charisma online if you take just a few of these tips with how you can be more aware of what you're doing. And I think part of it, Marlos, is that it's just being aware. That's what the key is.
Well, that's true. And looking at it as if you were an audience member. I think that's part of it too, is, not just being so focused just on what you're saying, but focus on how it's coming across. And I think I've seen a lot of people, just the way they frame themselves and everything. Every time I'm doing workshops now for exhibitors for virtual exhibiting, I tell them, don't sit with a window behind you, because then you get that whole witness protection look.
We don't want that.
That's not the look you're going for, So it's like, there's a lot, and obviously you have a lot more of a stylized backdrop than I do. I just have my picture on the wall. But, tell us a little bit more about staging. And I know you do some things with props too. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I do. And if anybody, the chats maybe puts the keyword puppet or bell, maybe I'll bring it out. If not, then I won't do it. That's fine. But point is that I think, yes. So for me, just to present what this is the best I can do right now. Some options are you can do a DLSR camera, right? The fancy, more expensive camera, have the background blurred, maybe better quality. So that's one thing. Two, there's a light above me, which kind of has some of that shine on there, but it's okay for what I'm doing at this time. I do have lights here, Marlos, and just to show people, I'm turning them off. You may not see a big difference, but these are just two small lights that I have clipping on there. That's one. And then the framing, I'll just show you. This is a movable wall right here. I have this just to hide some things over there. And this is the painting. I didn't get it for a digital world, but I thought it fit kind of Ramon. It's a bit busy, but this is my style. For Marlos, she may say, I want something simpler, but you can see she has red on. So she pops in what she has. So I'll pause there to give you top space, Marlos, but those are a few things what I'd say about how it works. And there's no perfect, but as you said, the big thing is, I think, have it look a little neat, a little symmetric. That's what I would say.
Well, and I like how you talked about the fact that you brought in things that reflect your personality. So, it all needs to be authentic and connected somehow, and not just look like it's, thrown together, which is what most people's background. Oh, and then the whole idea of the virtual backgrounds, don't even get me started on that. I think that, when somebody half their face and their shoulder keeps disappearing, it's like, just don't do that.
And if people have to have it, as you know, Marlise, I think the experts have said it's great lighting and simpler background or something. That's the best way to make a virtual. I think it's the lighting, something like that people have said, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back to your burnt pancakes comments. We got some replies here. Ramon says her daughter made burnt pancakes yesterday. She wasn't thrilled. So, and I also noticed she doesn't admit whether or not she ate any of them. Chris says banana pancakes, not burnt.
Not bad.
Wendy likes Ramon's comment. Wendy says, great tips, Ramon. A work in progress is good aim. And that's true. I think that, a lot of us feel like, especially now we're watching professional broadcasters, newscasters broadcast from home. And so we kind of tend to compare ourselves to that. And it's like, we're not on that level, and we probably don't have the kind of equipment they have, but that's something that we can work towards.
That's right. Correct. And I think that's important. You're saying, listen, when I first started, of course, for years, as you and I have had some decent equipment, but the first day of COVID, guess what? Not the first day of COVID shelter. I didn't have these two lights. I had this microphone in a drawer. Somebody asked about the microphone. I'll just hold it up. Nothing special for Marlos, but for some of you, I hope my mic didn't disconnect. So this is just a regular podcaster's mic. And the background has evolved. For sure, evolved. So, and I think by now, Marlos, and I think you probably will agree, I think everybody who does this frequently, you should have the very least good lighting, a decent microphone so your voice sounds legit. It's been a year. Come on, people. Smacking on the back of the hand.
Yeah. Well, and in the beginning, it was really hard to get equipment too. I know like ring lights were sold out almost immediately. And, there were a lot of pieces of equipment and there's still some hit and miss things on mics. But, and it doesn't have to be a super expensive mic. I always tell people I did the first 10 plus years of my podcast with a cheap $25 mic, so it wasn't anything fancy. And then I got my pro mic, which mine's just a little too far off camera to show. But, I spent over $100 on this one, but I didn't spend $500. I mean, it wasn't hugely expensive, but, just upgrading the equipment a little bit and lighting, again, the ring lights, those aren't terribly expensive. I love how Arlene says, I'm feeling Ramon's ray of sunshine through his feed, loving his energy. And that's what I told you guys in the beginning. It's like, he's like the perfect representative for digital charisma because every time I've seen Ramon speak, he's just so enthusiastic and it just comes right through the camera.
Thank you. Listen, I love what I do, and I think we all have different ways we present ourselves. And for me, I don't take myself too seriously. I love to have a lot of fun. In fact, it's part of our core values: have fun and do the right thing. And that's me. But thank you, Amanda, for those kind words. I see. Oh, Amanda said something there too. Yes.
Yeah. So Amanda wants to know what kind of microphone you're using.
Yep. So the microphone I have, but again, the microphone type and all that doesn't matter so much, but I'll just share with you. But just look for a podcast microphone, but usually they have some weight to it. So this is now an older mic that's not sold anymore, made by M Audio. But I'm sure Marlis may have in her head some of the famous names. They're just Yeti. That's one, but I'm skipping. But this is just a microphone, USB connection. And then this is to take out the pop. Like if you don't have it, you may not hear it here, but sometimes the S and the what's or whatever it is. I'm not a linguist, but that's what the people like Marlis say I should have if I have it. And then I have this little thing to just keep the wind out so it sounds a bit more crisp. That's what I have.
Yes. Sometimes also referred to as spit guard.
Yes, that too.
and just FYI, the mic that I use is the Audio Technica AT 2020.
There we go.
Love my new mic.
Audio Technica has some good brands, very good brands.
So yeah, but like Ramon mentioned, there's Yeti, there's Rode. Rode has a number of different mics. So, there's a lot of different things that you can get. But so let's see. So
Marlis, if people want to buy our equipment, I must say, I know I can speak for Marlis. You can buy her mic from her for $10,000. If you want to pay her the money right now, her and I both will sell you our equipment. So if you want my lights, what do you think, Marlis? $5,000 today?
Yeah.
Yours.
Yeah, sounds good. Amanda says, I need some more equipment. So any clip lights and decent microphone recommendations that won't break the bank would be great. So so we gave you a few mic recommendations. As far as lights, what do you use for lights?
That's kind of my one here. It's hard to tell it, but there's a little clip here. You can see me doing that. I clip them to my desk. I won't shine it in your eye, but it has a gooseneck on it. Let me see. Yeah. That's kind of looks weird here, but that's all I have. I have two of these left and right of me facing my face, and it works for me. So,
yeah. And at this point in time, I just have a ceiling fan that the light points right down on me. So I actually just ordered a ring light to use, when I do with my phone or something else. But I mean, there's ways. There's even just like you can get one of those utility lights from Lowe's or Home Depot and use that. I mean, it doesn't have to break the bank. So there's lots of options. Amanda says, thank you for the recommendations. And Chris points out something interesting. Ramon's spit guard and the circles in the backdrop create a nice circular pattern.
Thank you, Chris. And Chris, you know what, Chris? If you tell me whoever says if they find Mickey Mouse, I will just send you in the mail a copy of my book. Who can find Mickey Mouse? Not Ernie, because Ernie, you can see if I move.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm waiting for Ernie to make an appearance here.
Since you asked, but who can find Mickey Mouse? Who can find Mickey Mouse? We have a few more seconds here.
I see Mickey.
You see Mickey? Okay.
I see Mickey.
Okay, awesome. Now, but Marlis, how are you? I don't even know if this is the right accent, but I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I love to go to different countries and do puppet shows for little kids. That's just part of me being crazy. I don't even know if I got it right, but I like to have fun. Hi, Ramon, how are you? So that's Ernie having a cameo with Marlis and company and friends.
Oh, I love it. That's my first time interviewing a Muppet celebrity. So
there you go.
So Chris says in the circles. Amanda says on the blue picture.
All right. I saw Chris's first, Marlis. So there's a problem that your community will be mad at you, not at me. I'll be gone soon. So Chris, no, who was it? Chris, I will send you.
Actually, I just realized some of these are popping in. I don't know. They're out of order now. So now I see Rama said she found the hidden Mickey 5 minutes ago in the artwork.
Okay, Rama.
So
I'm the judge and jury. It's all yours. Just email me. Marlos can help you do that, or you can find me online and I will send you a copy. It's all yours.
Awesome. and Chris says Ernie sounds like Elmo.
Yeah. I'll make sure I let him know.
Yeah, you know, I think as far as Muppets, most all of them are voiced by about the same person, or maybe the same person. I think in the beginning, wasn't Jim Henson the voice of all of them?
Probably was, indeed.
So, yeah, we're all showing our age. We all grew up with the Muppets, so
right.
We're waiting for Statler and Waldorf to appear on here too.
Forget about it. What a fun
all right,
show.
let's see. So anything else you want to share? We kind of went all over the place here with some of our tips, but any other points that are really important that you think we've missed so far?
Yeah, regarding digital charisma, I think, listen, just be yourself. I can't be you. You can't be me, talking to the amazing Amanda, Chris, and Rama, and Tim, and so many others here. We just have to be who we are. But I do think it's important that all of us do our best to just level up. Nobody wants to talk in a monotone voice, right? That's just kind of a no-no. Nobody wants an aspect of boredom where you're putting people asleep. That's kind of a no-no. You do want to look in the camera and have your area well. Once you get that right, the rest you'll figure out. And we all have different skills. Some people speak more in depth than I do, right? I happen to be a short, to the point person. So those are a few tips. And it's just been, thank you very much, Alan. It's been great to be here. And as Alan puts there, if I can help anybody, inspire you, you can find me out at smarthustle.com. And Marlos, what a great show. I loved your news and tips at the beginning. That was really cool. That was baller.
Thanks, Ramon. Yeah. Well, it was great to have you on because it's always fun to have a fellow podcaster because we all have so many things that we could share and ideas and it's just I think that there's so much potential for people and like Ramon said, you don't have to have expensive equipment. You don't have to have a professional broadcasting background, but there really are a lot of simple things that you can do to up-level your game. And I think as we go forward, even though we're going to get back to live events, I think that having that digital presence and that digital charisma is really going to serve you well. And, there's so many ways to use it, even in a face-to-face world. There's, all kinds of video marketing opportunities. So, Ramon, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here today. This was a lot of fun and definitely probably about the most laughs we've had on any virtual lunch so far with Ernie's appearance and everything.
We have to. But Marlos, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. And I love your community. Love what you're doing. All the best to what you're doing. Thank you.
So thank you very much. And just as a reminder to everybody, we'll be back in 2 weeks and we are going to have Jim Worm as our special guest. He's going to be back with us again. He was here last year, giving us a little bit more of an update on the industry and how we're moving forward and some of the ways that we're going to get the industry brought back to life again. So it's going to be a really important kind of state of the industry report. So anyway, thank you very much. We've got some thank yous here. Rama says thanks to Ramon. Well, that gets challenging. And then Amanda says thank you. And Wendy says thank you for your time. Enjoy your day and stay warm if you're in the cold. Stay cool if you're in the warm. Yeah. And Chris says, great stuff. Thanks. So anyway, thank you again. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We will be back in 2 weeks. We will see you then in the Exhibit Marketers Cafe for another virtual lunch. Bye.